I liked the point that I think Micah Parsons was trying to make, but I think he misspoke, or I don't know what happened. I'm sure he'll clarify when he said that Zach Martin works way harder than Mike McCarthy ever did. That was not the right way to put that message out.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Those of you that check us out on DK Network or youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL can see the helmets, the game balls. That was a long time ago now at this point, but I love that I got a chance to play for a while. Help me get these broadcasting gigs. How about this week, Thursday night? Commanders, Eagles, Westwood One, national radio. If you're driving around during that game Thursday night, or you can listen to the stream online if you prefer over the television broadcast in terms of the audio. And then Sunday, Raiders at the Dolphins for CBS. Big win for the Dolphins last night. We'll get to that momentarily. They actually looked pretty good last night. Who knows what the Dolphins could get done moving forward. We'll have winners on Friday, somebody that engages with @RossTuckerPod on any platform, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or @RossTuckerNFL. Someone that takes advantage of any of the sponsors like WestShoreHome.com/Ross or buys one of those awesome gifts for the holidays from future fans. YouTube shout out, youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL. Make sure you subscribe, make a comment, and then you get a great chance to win a customized, personalized video from me to you or whoever you want it to be for. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, Miami, their playoff hopes are still alive after a 23-15 must-win game against the Rams.
Yeah, they needed that badly, and they got it. The Monday Night Football recap is presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink Labatt Blue Lights with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I did have 2 of those bad boys last night. Watching the Dolphins, I thought, Jack, really control the game, control the action. As big of a win as it was for the Dolphins to kind of keep their playoff hopes alive, that's how bad it was for the Rams. And there's a lot to get into in terms of the game, but I would say the thing that jumped out to me the most, the Dolphins' D-line whipped the Rams' offensive line. And what's interesting about that, Jack, is the Rams had a lot of guys they brought back for this game. Steven Avila at left guard, Jonah Jackson at center, Noteboom at right tackle. Those guys struggled. That was a mistake. The Rams brought 3 guys that they thought were upgrades back on the offensive line all at the same time. Noteboom in particular struggled at right tackle as Chop Robinson had his way with him a number of times. But even inside, Jonah Jackson had some bad snaps at center. I thought Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer sort of dominated those inside guys. Avila had a penalty. You could tell those guys were rusty. That was something that jumped out from the game, was the Rams' offensive line was rusty. As a result, they didn't score 1 touchdown the whole game. They settled for 5 field goals. They moved the ball decently, but they'd have lost yardage plays. They'd get down near the red zone, and then they would bog down or have a sack or not able to convert. They were really, really poor on 3rd down. Stafford was constantly under pressure. I mean, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp still had decent nights for the fantasy folks out there, but that was about it. On the other side, the Dolphins made a couple of critical plays down near the red zone when they needed to. Jonnu Smith had an awesome catch and run. Malik Washington on the reverse was escorted into the goal line. So the Dolphins actually scored 2 touchdowns. And their kicker, Jason Sanders, was nails, as he normally is. It's funny because Tyreek Hill ended up playing through a torn ligament in his wrist, which was interesting. And then the other thing I would say is that, you know, Tua was a mixed bag extending plays. He's typically at his best when he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. There were a couple sacks he took that I thought were really bad sacks that he should not have taken, but he also made several big time plays when he extended the play, which I thought were gigantic. I mean, absolutely gigantic for the Dolphins in this game. It's probably the biggest reason why they ended up winning the game was Tua extending several of those plays. Even the first touchdown was an extended play to Jalen Waddle, which got them, down near the goal line for the touchdown. So it was really the D-line and Tua that I thought were the biggest differences in the game for the Dolphins. To get a win they had to have to keep their playoff hopes alive, and a loss for the Rams that really sets them back now when you look at the Cardinals and the Niners in their division. All right, it is your last chance to take advantage of this awesome contest via my friends over at Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. They are giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience, from tickets to sideline passes and so much more. Just head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15th. That's this week to enter your chance to win. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York. Again, go to WeDoGameDays.com. Smirnoff, We Do Game Days.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, we're going to kick off the power rankings, 32nd being the New York Giants.
And the Giants are already, this week, Brian Daboll had said they're still evaluating the quarterback position. Mark my words, 99% of the time, when a coach declines to name who the starting quarterback is or says they are evaluating, that usually means, like 95 to 99% of the time, they're moving on. They're making a change. That likely means Drew Lock time. I don't really know what that does. I don't think he's any better than Daniel Jones. I don't think it helps him win games. But Daniel Jones has a significant injury guarantee if he can't pass a physical in March. So the Giants will very likely put him on the bench now because they don't want that injury guarantee to kick in, especially when they know this is absolutely now a lost season. And frankly, Drew Lock's probably worse than Daniel Jones, so it gives the Giants a better chance to lose, if that makes sense. So they'll have a higher draft pick. Hard to believe with some of the good players they have on that team and some of the improvement they've made that they're still that bad. I mean, the defense does a lot of good things. The offensive line's clearly better, and yet here we are.
Another team flip-flopping quarterbacks, the Tennessee Titans at 31.
Right. It's been back and forth between Mason Rudolph and Levis. Thought Levis did some positive things. They're another one, Jack. They're like #1 in some categories defensively. You know how hard it is to be #1 in some categories defensively and still be 31st in my power rankings? I mean, that is not easy to do, but somehow the Titans have pulled it off.
30th, the Raiders.
The Raiders. So the Raiders made a bunch of changes to the offensive coaching staff, which we'll see how that unfolds on Sunday. I am, of course, calling that game for CBS, Raiders at the Dolphins. Dolphins will be coming to that one with momentum, but they got a short week. So we'll see if the offensive changes, bringing in North Turner, Scott Turner as the OC, make any difference for the Raiders in the second half of the year coming out of the bye.
29th is the Cleveland Browns.
The Browns also had a bye. The Browns also will be sticking with their quarterback, Jameis Winston, according to Kevin Stefanski, coming out of the bye. I think that's the right move because he was really good against the Ravens, and you only gave him 2 games. Let him at least feel like he's getting a chance to show what he can do before they'll probably move on to DTR so that they have a good read on what DTR is going into the offseason.
Team that did not have a bye is the Jaguars at 28.
So the Jaguars, they're not a terrible team. I mean, let's be honest, all these teams. I'm going to write about this, Jack, in my column for the 33rd team this week, but all these teams, it's crazy how many teams going into week 11 have two or three wins. I mean, week 11, 2 or 3 wins. That is rough. Jaguars are one of them. They, again, have some good players. But like a lot of these teams, Browns, Raiders, Titans, Giants, they find a way to lose a lot of close games late. And the other team's quarterback usually does a better job of making the critical plays late in games to win than their quarterback does. And there's a decent chance that Trevor Lawrence will be out for the rest of the year with this left shoulder injury.
27th is the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers are rising, man. Back-to-back wins for the Panthers. Strike up the band. I mean, I'm impressed, especially with all the injuries they have on really all over, but especially defensive side of the ball. You know, for them to have major injuries at every level of the defense, they've definitely played better on that side of the ball. And then offensively, they're running the ball. Bryce Young's doing enough and not making the critical errors. Okay, Panthers. Okay.
26th, the Cowboys.
You know, I didn't even make this point. I didn't even tell you, Jack, I was going to do this. But I'm going to make this my Labatt take of the week. Presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I liked the point that I think Micah Parsons was trying to make, which is that he feels worse for guys like Zach Martin, who might be at the end of the line, and he was hoping that they could get him a Super Bowl or get him to a Super Bowl. I think Micah Parsons' head and heart were in the right place as he was talking about the veteran guys that he respects that laid on the line every week. But I think he misspoke, or I don't know what happened. I'm sure he'll clarify when he said that Zach Martin works way harder than Mike McCarthy ever did. That was not the right way to put that message out if you're Micah Parsons trying to make a positive comment about veterans like Zach Martin. That last comment turned into a negative about Mike McCarthy and totally skewed the message. I don't know, but I think Micah Parsons was trying to make.
25th is the Bears.
The Bears. Man, who would have thought a couple weeks ago the Bears would be behind some of these teams they're behind? But they just got absolutely housed by the Patriots at home. It's gotten ugly. I mean, there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that look better than Caleb Williams right now. You know, I don't know. Bo Nix, not good. Not good at all. They're going to make changes according to Eberflus, but he's not saying what those changes are yet, which means either he doesn't know or he just hasn't actually made those changes yet. Or he doesn't want people to know, right? Doesn't want us to know what those changes are going to be, which, by the way, there's some strategy to that.
24th is the New York Jets.
Right, and they stink. Think about that. They stink, and they're 24th in the power rankings. They're ahead of a bunch of teams, which says a lot about a lot. They just got smashed. Mark my words on this one. I might have said this yesterday, Jack. I do not see Aaron Rodgers playing out the string with the Jets to end this year. I just think there will be some type of injury at some point, and he won't play the last however many games. That's another prediction. So I got the Giants prediction. I got the Jets prediction. There you go. The Aaron Rodgers prediction. I'm throwing them out there today.
23rd is the Patriots.
You know what? Gerard Mayo's done a pretty nice job with them because now not only have they won 3 games, but they've been super close to winning a couple others. I mean, they could really be close to being a 500 team. They're making progress on both sides of the ball with an undermanned roster. Okay, Gerard. Okay, Patriots.
Team that made a big leap this week is New Orleans Saints, 22.
Unbelievable. My biggest upgrade this week is the New Orleans Saints. Totally impressed with how they looked under Darren Rizzi. Now, in fairness, I had them dead last week after that loss to the Carolina Panthers. I had them 32. Now, Derek Carr looked better. They got some plays out of MVS. Maybe it's just the new coach boost for a week, but I had them leap a bunch of other bad teams, which is why now the Saints are my biggest upgrade. Upgrade your bathroom or entry door with West Shore Home. Get free installation plus 18 months, no interest, no payments when you visit westshorehome.com/Ross.
21st is the Indianapolis Colts.
So this is where I would say we get to the middle. There's not a big middle. There's a lot of bad. There's a decent amount of good. There's a small middle. It's the smallest middle, I feel like, Jack, we've ever had. The Colts are in the middle in the sense that they're not bad, but they're certainly not good. They are the worst of the mediocre. Hang the banner up. And they're sticking with Flacco again this week.
20th is the LA Rams.
So Matthew Stafford not playing as well as he needs to. Neither is the entire team. You know, they thought about trading Kupp, but then they won 3 in a row. They had this momentum. They're not out of it yet, especially with 7 teams making it. But you look, Lions, Eagles, Falcons, Cardinals, Vikings, Commanders, Packers, Niners. It's going to be tough to be one of those 7 if you are the LA Rams at 4 and 5.
19th, Seahawks.
Pretty much everything I just said about the Rams, you could say about the Seahawks. They're not out of it. They're still going to be battling to be the 7th seed, but it's going to be an uphill climb at this point.
The other team from last night is the Dolphins. They're at 18.
So if you look at the Dolphins' schedule, they now have a realistic chance to go on a run here. And then if they can go on a run and get in the mix at 6-6 if they win their next 3 games, then they're right there in it. They got to go on a roll, but the way they've played recently on offense since Tua's been back, combined with how the defense played last night, that actually gives the Dolphins a chance. Miami Dolphins got a shot.
17th is Cincinnati.
Bengals still have a chance too. I guess we'll keep saying this until they get their 8th loss. That's another one. Hard to believe they don't have a better record with the way Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson are playing, right? Like those guys are having career years and they're 4 and 6.
Middle of the pack is the Houston Texans. They're at 16.
Their record says they're better than that. The eye test says they're not. They're 6 and 4. They've lost a couple in a row to the Jets and at home to the Lions after Goff threw 5 interceptions. Bad couple games for the Texans.
15th, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Bucs stop here. They're another one. I said this yesterday. Absolutely love watching Baker Mayfield play. The Bucs are not a bad team, but they've lost 4 in a row now. 4 in a row. They were 4 and 2. Now they're 4 and 6. And I feel like all of those games have been close, heartbreaking, back and forth losses.
14th is the Broncos.
Speaking of close, heartbreaking losses, that game yesterday or Sunday could have been the difference for Denver. The thing is I don't know how much we got into it yesterday. I can't remember. The guy that got blown up, Forsyth, the center, you gotta get that second foot in the ground super fast, and you have to lean forward and throw your hands to give them some shock. You can't just be an absorber. You have to try to deliver some type of force in their direction. He just got absolutely annihilated, and they lost the game because of it.
13th is the Atlanta Falcons.
Tough loss for the Falcons. Now, the good news is, in their division, they're still riding pretty easy right there. I mean, they still got a 2-game lead in their division, but you can't be doinking off games to teams like the Saints if you think you're legit like the Falcons.
12th, Arizona Cardinals.
And how about them? They're like the anti-Bucks or some of these other teams we talked about. They've won 4 in a row. They were 2-4. Now they're 6-4. And I'm just telling you, they totally believe now. Kyler's going out there playing one of maybe the best game of his career. They're getting after people on defense now. Look out for the Cardinals. They believe under JG, Jonathan Gannon, their head coach.
11th is the Green Bay Packers.
They got a fine record. They're 6-3. I would just say that something seems a little bit off with them. They just don't seem like the team they were in the playoffs last year. Can't quite put my finger on it, but I just don't think the offense, I mean, the defense has been fine. The offense is not firing on all cylinders like they were at the end of last year.
We'll kick off the top 10 with the Chargers at 10.
Go, Chargers, go. San Diego, Superchargers, San Diego, Chargers. They know who they are. Chargers, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, man, because Herbert's playing well. He's running it just enough to keep you honest. The defense is so much better than they have been. Look out for the Chargers. Go, Chargers, go.
The perfectly placed 49ers are 9.
Why is that perfectly placed?
Because they're the Niners.
Niners.
The Niners at 9.
Niners, 9. Niners. Did I catch a niner in there? What's that from?
I don't remember.
Some movie where the guy is like, the guy's giving him like a phone number and he says niner. He's like, did I catch a niner in there? I feel like maybe.
Oh, is that Tommy Boy? Yeah, it is Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy. David Spade. Did I catch a niner in there? Anyway, they got a win they had to have. Shout out Tommy Boy.
8 is Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings, not an impressive performance at all against the Jaguars, but they got the win. Nobody cares. That's all that matters. They're 7-2. Doesn't feel like they're 7-2.
7 Commanders.
Gigantic game Thursday night in Philly against the Eagles. I'll be there. Who would have thought before the season that this would be 2 7-win teams at this point? Love it. Juicy. Tough loss for the Commanders. We'll see if they bounce back.
6 is the Steelers.
Gigantic win for the Steelers. You know, everybody was talking about taking, I think Fezzik on Even Money podcast took their season win total under because their schedule is so tough. The Steelers will never go under. They will never not have a winning season under Mike Tomlin. It is unbelievable. Shout out to the Steelers fans that always want to get rid of him.
Start top 5 with Baltimore Ravens.
So, interestingly, the Ravens, who I have ahead of the Steelers in the power rankings, are behind them in the standings because the Ravens are 7-3, Steelers 7-2. They play this week, which is an awesome matchup. We got some great games. Eagles, Commanders, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills. Okay, so think about that. The Commanders are 7th, Jack. That means we have 3 matchups pitting 2 teams in my top 7 of my power rankings. That, never happens. That's awesome.
4th, the just mentioned Philadelphia Eagles.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. You know, I might have said this yesterday, Jack. I'm not sure there's a team that has a better roster top to bottom than the Eagles. I mean, if you really look at it, their receivers, their tight end Goddard, their running back, their O-line, I'm not sure these teams ahead of them in my power ranks, I'm not sure you would take their roster over the Eagles roster.
3rd, Buffalo Bills.
You know what's going to happen, right? The Bills are going to beat the Chiefs in this game in the regular season. There's going to be a rematch in the postseason, and the Chiefs are going to win. That's my third prediction of the day, because they're playing in Buffalo. Those fans are going to go ape. You know what? The Chiefs are finally going to lose, and everybody's going to be celebrating whatever, and it's going to ultimately probably mean very little when they play against each other. Like, I'd almost feel better about the Bills' chances in the playoffs against the Chiefs if they lose this regular season match, if that makes any sense.
Second, Detroit Lions.
Did I just call it a match?
I don't recall.
I called it a match. I think probably a matchup. If I call it a match, it sounds like it's soccer. You can't say if they win this match for American football. It's win this matchup. Match is like like tennis, right? What else is a match?
Polo, tennis, soccer.
You just say polo? Anyway, Lions, I can't believe they won that game. That was huge, though, to keep their distance over the Packers and Vikings in the division. They need it. That was a gigantic win for the Lions to win the division.
Ross's number one team, which is totally meaningless, but it's fun and will get many of you incredibly annoyed, is...
And a shocking stunner, number one, the Kansas City Chiefs.
The entire season. They've been number one the entire season so far. I don't really envision that changing unless they lose to the Bills, in which case I'll probably drop them, but still maybe not, because the Chiefs is the Chiefs, and that'll do it. Make sure you check out Even Money Podcast Day. It's awesome. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Have you gotten any holiday gifts yet? Have you even started thinking about it or looking? Do yourself a favor and look at myfrontpagestory.com before you go ahead and do anything else. BackOfficeScheduler.com, HumanHeadNYC.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy